way cash crisis works. Talking about Venezuela once again. Systemic important banks. They removed the 1,000 thing on here called monetary awareness.
All right, we are connected for a Saturday edition of the news update. And I thought I would just check in, share my 2 cents, just because I'm noticing a lot of cries of foul play amongst the crypto community. And the part that I'm trying to figure out is, what did you expect? Like, we just come off a historical, monumental, unprecedented surge in gold and silver. And did you not expect there to be some type of event, distraction, diversion tactic, the way that those that are in charge always do? Nothing's changed. Just a new game. That's all, people. And so I'm reading through my thread and I'm seeing everybody crying, everybody screaming, everybody boo-hooing. I was like, dude, come on now. Crypto isn't going nowhere because you can't have a reset without crypto succeeding. So be patient, my good people. Focus on what's tangible, what's real. Enjoy. You're supposed to be entertained by all this if you know what is happening. So anyway, I got to check in real quick, share my 2 cents on a variety of things. Also just put out my interview with Dennis Keating from UPMA. Definitely recommend you guys take a listen to that. And I put the link down below if you guys want to get into some sound money banking type practices. Definitely good opportunities for people. But before I move forward, let me just make sure I welcome those who might be coming across this channel for the first time. You never know. So I got to make sure that everyone gets a fair chance to get the unadulterated truth. But the best way to do that is to like the video. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an update or just an impromptu live stream with a little bit of contrarian analysis. Might even throw on a tinfoil if I decide to take it too far to the extreme. But you guys know how I do it here. So definitely make sure you click that. So I want to just get into a lot of things. I bookmarked a lot of narratives as to how we experience what is considered the biggest, greatest drawdown in crypto history. And so, once again, manipulation is always your friend if you have a strategy and you know what you're looking for. But as of right now, this is what the crypto market looks like. So I'm surrounded by a lot of small bubbles. But then again, throughout the entire week, these bubbles get a lot bigger. What am I referring to? Let me just show you what I'm seeing on my side here, what I pay attention to. So literally, this is what we're looking at right now. This is the entire market cap in the week with BTC down 7.8, ETH down 13.9, BNB up. And of course, there's so much activity happening in the stablecoin industry, especially right here with this one right here. The fact that they, in collaboration with a lot of higher forces, created billions upon billions. At the same time, the price dropped to pump it kind of back up. So you got to ask yourself, is this game new, or is these the same players that have captured the legacy system? Have they now figured out how to completely capture the DeFi space? You know what I'm saying? Like this is the part that I find the most enjoyable, because the fact that people expect something different when the same people are in power. Nothing's changed on the surface, underneath the surface. The same people that were behind the curtain all along are still behind the carpet. Not the carpet, but the curtain. So anyway, I'm just laughing and giggling a little bit this week, just because, as I mentioned, we experienced one of the most interesting weeks of this channel's history, and here we are now, talking about crypto. Catch us up on what's happening, Mike. Appreciate you. What we got here? A couple people checking. Good morning, Mike. What we got here? A couple people says been tuning in ever since silver was $12 an ounce. Super sup, money, Mike. What's up, Ryan? Man, appreciate you. Yeah. And that's another thing. I'm gonna get into the primary subject matter, but because it's Saturday, I'm just rolling a little bit. I appreciate all the people who have put some comments out there and sharing their appreciation for the efforts over the years when it comes to the to the metals market and stuff like that. Just feeling like they have been rewarded for their efforts of just sticking around, hearing something contrary to the mainstream narrative, and a lot of people are saying thanks for them having gotten in earlier a lot of times and just being patient, realizing the game is rigged. That's where it pays to have, foresight, aka insight, also known as wisdom, Of course, it doesn't originate with me. Thank God it comes from the Holy Spirit and being led. But it's not too hard to plug into that type of stuff when you're seeking it. As God, the word says, seek first. You know what I'm saying? You know what comes with that. Okay, so let me get into a couple other things here. Stop rambling. You know how I do. Okay, so this is what we're looking at right now. And I want to jump right into some of the narratives out here. Lots of narratives. People are not too happy. I got too many screens up here. Let me make sure I'm good here. Let me know if the audio is coming in loud and clear so I can not just be on my own here. Okay, so most important thing of the week. This is the most important thing of the week, people. Let's not forget that. And this is where if the crypto bros realize, I keep calling them crypto bros, but you get my drift. If they realize what really is at stake, when they're talking about the revelation of a captured monetary structure being exposed right now, and it's showing up in things that is true, tried, and tested. And everybody, including the crypto community, should be overly excited about what silver is revealing. When you see $50 silver, all-time high, in the midst of all the other stuff we're facing, that should be more of an excitement to where hopefully you were positioned. But then once you realize what has to come, $50 is still cheap. So this would be a great time to even take some profits out of other things to get your weight up and to really promote that. If you really want to unravel the system, if you really want to take back control, do the opposite of what the powers that be are doing. They're steering you digital. What about if you just pause it for a second, get your weight up? If every crypto person tweeted and mentioned gold, silver first and foremost, it would disrupt the status quo. And then you better believe, as a result of that, the powers that be going to come out with some extra beneficial crypto things because they don't want people losing hope in where things have to go. So anyway, that's just, just to me, I just look at it as like, man, just see the bigger picture. If you can see the bigger picture, yeah, it'll be a lot different. Okay, but let me just get into some headlines here. Give me 1 second here. I have lots of things I want to touch on, and I'm going to just give it to you one by one and walk my way through it because, once again, manipulation can be your friend if you got a strategy, if you know what's happening. The floodgates will be cut on. The monetary spigot will turn on, and everything's going to go up. But then again, not everything's going to remain. So here we got Kobayashi letter. Just came out yesterday, and all this happened after I'd already plugged. I already unplugged, dialed back, trying to enjoy it Friday, and then all this happened. So I missed the crash because you better believe your boy would have been taking advantage of it. But I caught a couple things on sale. But it says here, this is from yesterday. It says today's decline officially marks the largest single-day liquidation in crypto history. More than $9 billion was liquidated over the last 24 hours. And so here you can see a history path of the previous. So you got February was pretty bad. And then May of 21, 2021. So all these 24-hour slam downs. And 1 and 2 happen to be within this year, all as a result of what? Our president, well, I would say Tweety, but it's not Tweety no more. But our president deliberately opening his mouth in a negative fashion, all towards something China related. So whenever something comes out about China, it's not favorable. 100% tariffs right now. Last time I think it was, what is it, 150 or some crazy number of tariffs to put on China. So clearly, what words he can use to spook the markets or front run the markets, depending on how you look at it. And so it's just like, wow, okay. But anyway, so just more comments here. Let me give you some more. We have, it says here, this is from Jared Tate, the creator of Digibyte. It says China Binance triggered the global crypto crash as a warning shot in the China versus U.S. trade war. Real Donald Trump is tagged in this. It says in one candle, they crashed Digibyte 67%, Doge 62, ADA 75, RVA Raven 99, Dash 45, and all others. China controls the global markets. It's been their plan since 2015. And then you see these charts here of where it's like, man, like, once there's any type of leakage in the system, everything responds unfavorably. And so let me give it to you. Here we got another one. Just commentary, just the last 15 hours, most of them. We had the health crash, 1.2 billion in liquidation. FTX crash, 1.6 in liquidation. Today, 19.6 billion liquidation. This is the biggest liquidation event in history of crypto and almost 20 times bigger than the COVID crash of March 2020. And so here's an unfortunate side of things that, of course, is not coincidental. Crypto investor influencer Constance Galish was found dead in a Lamborghini amid historic market crash. So, I'm not going to read into that, but just this is some things that people are talking about. And then we got Chris from Crypto.com. So regulators should look into the exchanges that had most liquidations in the last 24 hours and conduct a thorough review of fairness of practices. Any of them slowing down to a halt, effectively not allowing people to trade. Were all trades priced correctly and in line with indexes? And so we have an exchange individual. So this person here is the CEO of Crypto.com. He's screaming foul play, calling for an investigation in a market that's not even regulated officially yet. And so literally, I believe a lot of this has to do with flushing out weak hands as well as positioning those with strong hands even stronger, because I, share my thoughts on this, but you better believe the World Liberty Financial, which is the Trump's crypto empire, Eric Donald Barron, they knew and they were prepared. They had cash on the side, and I guarantee you they're not mad. And so here he shows a list of the top exchanges. And so here's the thing. Every one of these exchanges, every single one is in bed with the powers that be. I remember talking about this 3 or 4 years ago as the old administration did a good job of cramping down in preparation for this current administration. Like they're laying the groundwork, one presidential candidate at a time, because they've all been working towards the same agenda. They don't call shots, they take orders. And I don't care what your thoughts are about this administration, what he can and what he won't do. It just be patient. You'll see. But anyway, the reason I mention this is because I'm watching another commentator right now. I'm not going to mention his name, but, somebody I used to work with as far as the content creation space. And he's talking about, and it's one of my hopium type of optimistic type viewpoints. Oh, be patient, trust the process. Trump, and it says Trump's at war with the deep state in reference to this crash. And I'm like, Trump ain't mentioned deep state. He ain't mentioned the swamp. He ain't mentioned establishment. That was just during the campaign trail when he was running to get your vote. Now that he's in office, he don't need your vote. He don't need you to say nothing because he's following plans. So it's like, come on now. Like, how could you be so naive to think that he's disrupting something when actually he's doing exactly what he's put in office to do? Okay, but anyway, my point is these exchanges here, the biggest exchanges, they're all in the same. They all answer to somebody else. The CEOs in these companies answer to somebody else because they won't get free regulatory pathways to be successful as companies unless they comply with government regulatory frameworks globally and internationally, and with the big players, which happen to be the banking cartel. So once again, don't think for 1 second any of these exchanges run independently of the established system that's at play. Because in order to play within the countries, you got to play by their rules. Okay. So that's just a little caveat for those who might be like thinking something different. But here, it says here's another one. 6 hours ago, Donald Trump needs to go to jail. He's a thief. He's literally robbing people internationally. He announced 100% tariffs on China and sends the U.S. stock market into a death spiral. And at the same time, someone, think about this. We don't know who that someone is, but they who are part of all of this at the top, they know who that someone is. Put over $1 billion in the crypto with orders for 100 million being placed in Ethereum and Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies across the board, whilst markets got wiped after what he said. Billions, and I mean effing billions got wiped out while Bitcoin had its biggest dip ever in a single candle, losing Bitcoin, while all altcoins or whatever. It says this was coordinated. This was a market manipulation, and with no anonymous wallet making, and with one anonymous wallet making over $200 million in one day with trades, showing that they knew Trump was going to announce this and crash the market. And why can't you tell that? Because they transferred $1 billion into stable coins before it happened, waiting for the market to crash to profit off the devastation that Trump was about to cause. He isn't just crashing markets, he is doing it to profit. Okay, so he's showing his proof as to how and why. Okay, sure. Cry me a river. And so here's another one. And so I'm just sharing with you what people are feeling, because clearly when it comes to investing or speculating or having this emotional, psychological connection with digital assets, or even metals for that matter. You know what I'm saying? If the metals market crash, I'm sure people come out, oh. But once again, if it comes from Earth, it was here before we got here. It's going to be here after we got here. Believe me, it has use case. So somebody going to pay a price for it. But then again, I can't say the same for crypto. Outside of what the World Economic Forum and the UN agenda, their collaborative efforts of the public-private partnerships, what they're working behind the scenes, that's why they need the digital side to succeed. And that's why it will. Okay. So anyway, just going through some things here. Bear with me, people. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know, if it excites you, if it concerns you, if you don't care in the chat, let me know. Everybody has their own stance on this particular sector. But once again, it's a part of your future, so you might want to pay attention to it. Crypto just saw its largest liquidation history, 1.6 million. It says 19 billion over leverage. Why did it happen? Let's explain. Okay, let's go through this thread. Kobe Asdella does a good job of giving interesting thoughts here. So I want to give it to you straight. It says here, to put it in perspective, liquidation event we saw over the last 24 hours was 17 billion over the last largest crash of 2025. It was more than 19 times larger than the 2020 crash and collapse of FTX. Never in history have we seen anything else ever close to this. Never in history. This is newer industry. So the rules haven't yet been clearly defined. And that's why I believe Congress is so slow to act. Outside of the government has been shut down now. That's a major reason why. So because the government shut down, depending on how long this lasts, we'll never be able to get any true clarity to provide boundaries for the technology companies and crypto community to operate within to protect investors. And so that's why it can be the wild, wild west. So this crash here literally could be peanuts compared to the one that could come next month if he decides to tweet again saying that, you know what, I'm going to put 1,000% tariff tax on China. And guess what's going to happen then? Right. Somebody's going to know. So it said, amid liquidation, Bitcoin recorded a 20,000 daily candlestick. 20,000 daily candlestick. It says this marks a 380 billion swing in Bitcoin's market cap alone in a single day. That's more than the market cap of all but 25 public companies in the world. Once again, this has never happened in history. So, as I just mentioned, we're in the midst of another historical another historical event. This has never happened in history to the extent that it's happening now. And what better way to keep people's attention off of this? Because more people are probably like, oh, it's crypto confusion and S&P confusion. 1.6 wiped off the S&P 500, because this right here literally quiets people down. Because mind you, majority of people don't own this, so it's not that big of a loss or a big story if you don't have a position in sound money. But then again, everybody's been steered towards the digital. So that right there, my friends, can capture attention a lot greater than this. So just keep that in mind. Because it's all about who controls the narrative and what the agenda is with that narrative. But it says here, but why did this happen? To better understand, to take a look at the timeline, 9:50 a.m. Crypto began selling off at 10:57 a.m. Trump tariff post at 10:57. So giving you the full rundown of what we've witnessed. It says here at 4:30 p.m., a large whale took shorts in crypto, a large whale. So let me guess. Who would that large whale be? Just so I can throw out a couple scenarios, because you know how I like to do things. I can put my tinfoil hat on and give you specifics and be very general. But for the sake of those who might be new, I don't want to scare you away. But the large whale clearly was someone who had the inner access to the advisors of this administration within the White House. You had to be someone close to the man who was going to put out that post initially. So when Trump got the orders in his right ear on what to say, what to do on this particular Friday, because of all the things that's happening, you better believe that once the order was given to make that statement, to deliberately draw down markets, the people who gave him that order also positioned themselves. And so out of all of them, is probably some big money players who had big bread to be able to take out that leverage trade to get ready to reap the benefits of it. But then again, you better believe everybody who's associated with that whisper into that right ear, they all had positions. So we're just being told about that large whale. because a large whale captures attention. It makes it look like it's a single entity, which it could have been a big conglomerate, a big company, big whatever. But he wasn't. They weren't the only one. Everybody else who heard that whisper profited. Smaller whales. But in this instance here, the big whales in the billions, the smaller whales could have been 100 million, 200 million, 300 million. That's chump change in a world of, people who play at that level. But once again, everybody gets paid from within the White House first and out. That's just my hypothesis. That's just my thesis. Okay, but let me keep giving it to you. Okay, so at 4:55, Trump announced 100% tariff. Okay, so somebody took out a position at 4:30 p.m. Then at 4:50, he announced the tariffs. And so this is a chain of events. 10:57 was right here. 9:40 at the top. 10:57 coming down. 4:30, somebody took a position. 4:50, the announcement came. 5:20, it bottomed out. The biggest correction in history, according to what we're being told. And here we are now, the weekend. And crypto is, let me see. Let me just check see where we're at. Let me get a refresh. As of right now, let me get a refresh. Everything around me, as you can see, is still red. And Bitcoin is 111,000. So is this not monumental? What, my friends? Are you not entertained? So yeah, the last month has been interesting because what is the preferred medium of a transition in this monetary system is being played with. They've already captured it. They know how to manipulate it because clearly with all this hype and hopium about everybody and their mother buying and getting a position with treasury companies and all this, the price should have been at 300,000 unless they're not dealing directly in I can't even say physical Bitcoin because it's not even physical. But they have the off the balance sheet, off the ledger, okay, here we go. This is the first time you might hear this. The off the ledger Bitcoin. So there's multiple types of Bitcoin. There's on ledger, which is verifiable, and then there's off ledger, which is kind of like the futures market in gold and silver, where they can transfer promises of stashes of Bitcoin back and forth, and they can say this treasury company just positioned themselves with 100 million Bitcoin, but then you don't see no activity on the chain. But they tweet it though, and headlines capture it. Big company in Wall Street captures 100 million in Bitcoin. Oh, it's progressing. Price remained flat. Oh man, this is just so fun. Anyway, so just give you more. So the first question becomes, how did this large whale time the drop so perfectly? Oh, and he was in the room. By 5:20, 30 minutes after Trump's tariff announcement, liquidations hit 19.5 billion. The shorts were closed promptly after the drop of 192 million in profit. 192 million in profit. But there's more. It doesn't stop there because there's more. You see so this is the benefit of having a publicly visible ledger where it makes it perfect for surveillance sake. So you don't have to trust, you can verify. So you can see when players act in the interest of the community or to the advantage of themselves over the community. And so it says the main culprit of this appears to be a combination of excessive leverage and risk, people gambling, thinking that they can beat the system. And once again, in what world do you live in where those that are in the masses beat the small people who control the structure of the system? Oh, but if you take a look at the breakdown of liquidation, it was heavily skewed towards longs. It says 60.7 billion in longs were liquidated compared to 2.5 billion in shorts. That's a 6.71 ratio, 6.71 ratio. And so here are all the exchanges. So they're screaming that the exchanges absolutely had to be in on this in order to take a lot of these trades. It says even more evidence of excessive long leverage in the market. All major exchanges except Bitfinex saw an overwhelming percentage of long liquidations. So they're basically going into the fact that we had some of the exchanges in on it. And then it goes on. The next component was a shock effect. Markets became excessively crowded to the long direction after a historic run from April to 2025. So people were literally betting and positioning themselves based upon momentum and pure hype and hope of this administration becoming more friendlier, because Besant over the last week, in the midst of gold and silver reaching all-time highs, are coming out saying that oh, for sure, the gold U.S. is going to be added to our reserves. Oh, yes, so this administration is very friendly towards cryptocurrency. And then you got Cynthia Lewis coming out saying, oh, yes, be patient. Real soon, we got something coming that's going to be favorable. So you got all these people building up this hype. So it's easy to say, you know what? Let me go ahead and put some money on this going up, and let me mortgage my house and put this on now because I'm really confident. Because as the crypto communities can say, price only goes up until they flash crash it on you one time. It says greed exceeded 60% as shown below days before the crash. So people were set up for this trap, expecting that price only goes up. It says the sudden shock. Well, give me my. I hate when is this. The sudden shock of the tariff post led to a massive shift in sentiment. So literally, as you can see here on the screen, all it took was just one sentence out of Trump's mouth. One sentence out of Trump's mouth changed the entire trajectory of those that were gambling. Trump threatens tech exports limits new tariff to 100% of tariffs starting November 1st. And another thing to consider is at what point has any of this tariff threat actually been seen through without there being some extensions or another tweet that says, oh, we just met our dignitaries met and it looks like we're on pace to have an agreement, or we've come to some type of mutual understanding, and then the market surge. So the same way the markets was slammed as a result of some statements, come Monday morning, if Trump won, or Sunday nights, mark my words, come back, post, remember this tweet, or not this tweet, remember this post at this particular segment of this portion here. Sunday night, Trump tweets, it looks like China's come to their senses. We're still on course. Bitcoin will hit 130. But yet gold and silver, you know what I'm saying? Sunday night must be slammed below $50. So, yeah. If you don't realize that we're all being played for food, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so liquidity was the next issue. Trump's announcement came 50 minutes after U.S. markets closed on Friday. So 50 minutes after the markets closed. It says, as seen many times, Friday night and Sunday night often come with large crypto moves. Why? Liquidity is thin. So literally people are operating on very stretched out margins because everybody who's in the crypto space have pretty much already threw the sink in and leveraged themselves, sold off everything, and borrowed as much as they can to get positioned for what they anticipate being the biggest pump in history, which it will come. But as it says here, liquidity is thin. So in order to really get the next wave of a crypto pump, we need a spigot to be cut back on, hence the Federal Reserve. And so literally right now, 111,000 Bitcoin is small compared to where it's going to go, because believe me, it has to go higher. And then gold and silver will respond. But because of all this activity here, they want gold and silver's pump to be minimized as far as the narrative, because if all the mainstream news sources are owned and operated by 2 or 3 major news syndicates, they're going to tell you what they want you to hear, not what you should hear and what's best for you to hear. That's why you got to come to RTD to get the truth, people. Okay, so I'm gonna stop there because I mean this post, but just go to Kobayashi letter. You can get the whole spiel. I'm sure you got my drift by now, where this is heading and how it arrived to this narrative. But started with a whisper in the ear from people who are calling the shots within the advisory board, and he responded. And if you better believe one of those texts or tweets that went out to his kids. Hey, Eric. Hey, Donald Jr. Barron. Give me 20 minutes. Be ready. Oh, man. That's interesting. But anyway, it's good times, man. It's good times. As always, continue to remember where things are heading. The reset is still underway. There's nobody been prosecuted. It matters. There's no revelation of any new players or bad actors in the system in general. And 3, the World Economic Forum, under Larry Fink, the public-private partnerships are still moving forward. So what's different than the previous administration? You let me know. And maybe I changed my mind, but you know what time it is. Anyway, where we at on time? Let me see. I don't want to bore you guys too long. It is too early morning. But for those who are checking out, it looks like we got, a couple people checking in. If you haven't, this is the time where your support is needed. I don't ask for much, but what I do ask for is that you hit that subscribe button, and more importantly, hit that thumbs up. Bless the channel with a thumbs up. That's all. You definitely got a perspective here that goes against the grain. It is my opinion. But then again, there's three sides to a story: the truth, a lie, and what you make of it in the middle. And my job is just to give you something to think about. And as always, for those who are plugged in, I just put out that recent interview with Dennis Keating. And so go check it out. It is a good opportunity to learn about UPMA, Alpine Exchange Gold, some of the options that they provide for people. And you can, have a diversified approach into your accumulation stack and everything else you do, which what you do. What else? We got No Joke Thanks is Iceberg First. I have some gold, silver, and crypto. They are going to switch to digital currency in a new system where the people like it 100%. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't have a great reset without crypto succeeding. So just from that alone, if you want to participate and be a shareholder, get it, a stakeholder in this transition, then, it is what it is. And so 10 pounds sterling says October is coming. You better believe I'm 100% 10 pounds. October is coming because, once again, it's an unregulated market that needs to succeed in order to get us all the way to Agenda 2030. Like, everything is in play, people. Everything is in play. But the goal is to make people feel like they can participate. And the best way to participate is to be a direct stakeholder, i.e. contributor to the liquidity by holding positions in these tokens, because every token that a person holds and owns that's approved and certified as a true crypto is on a public ledger, so they can see. And mind you, they know what you hold. So here's the thing: and this is where people are like, man, people think, oh man, I'm getting, saying I can do this behind closed doors. They don't know. And like I mentioned before, just let me just show you what. And this is where the crypto bros, they don't tell you anything other than what you want to hear, because it helps position them better with their holdings. Let me just remind you. Let me see here. Everybody should be concerned with a program called Money Rocket. You don't know what it is. You don't know anything about how it operates, but it is real. And let me see here. It's real because we were told it's real by the legend himself. Eric Snowden, the whistleblower behind this NSA surveillance revelations. Within his revelations, he gave us some very crucial information about Bitcoin, on how the NSA at that time, how they mastered Bitcoin surveillance down to the very IP address which is associated with your name. And if everything that has software to it that we, the consumers, use has a back door, they obviously know everything you see and do. And not once during any of this Doge department, like, what you call it, not crackdown, but what you call it, trying to find fraud and a waste of spending, did they even mention the word, I'm trying to type, mention the word NSA. Nobody thought about investigating NSA. And so that alone should let you know that, okay, that's something that they didn't want to be talked about. And nobody mentioned it in that reference but me. And so, yeah. Okay, so let me give you, I'm trying to find an article, but just type in. So here we go. I'll give you some information. So this is, so if the NSA has perfected surveillance on Bitcoin for surveillance on the Bitcoin ledger, they have everything else captured too. So here's just a I can't find an article, but just type in money rocket. But it says Edward Snowden's revelation exposed numerous classified NSA programs, including codename Project Money Rocket, which referred to a specific company targeted by the agency's surveillance activity. The true identity of the company behind the name. No, this is not it. Okay. But anyway, this is just off the cuff. So, but let me see here. I'm sure people want to get to this. Let me see, because I am typing. Let me try to find it, because this is something that people should be aware of. Okay, so I found the article, but it won't let me read it. Okay, here we go. This is it. This is it right here. This is what you came for. They won't let me read it. Give me 1 second. This would be worth your time if we have any people who are not familiar with surveillance and cryptography and why there's no accidents. Everything is intentional in the midst of a reset. And therefore, Bitcoin was not accidental. It was intentional. And let me prove it to you. Not prove it to you, but just show you how, it ain't going nowhere. Okay, so here's the actual article. So type in, it's from the Intercept. It says the NSA worked to track down Bitcoin users, Snowden document reveals. So this article here is just very in-depth. Bitcoin maxis don't touch this because they don't care, because they got a position, and according to them, it can't be stopped. But did they ever ask themselves a question? Do you think they want to stop it? No, they don't got to stop it. They just got to control the entries and exits and oversee the network. Right now, Bitcoin Core, Bitcoin Knots, still real. It's going on. You better believe version 30 of the upgrade to the software is going to get worse. Duh. Okay, so let me just share with you here. I'll make this my last little rant because I can go on forever. But in this article here, it gives you some key names of things that you won't hear nowhere. So it actually gives you some screenshots of redacted information. But let me just give it to you straight. So here we go. This is what you want to focus on. The NSA budding Bitcoin spy operation looks to be enabled by its unparalleled ability to siphon traffic from the physical cable connections that form the internet and various traffic around the planet. Okay. And so here it says specifically the NSA targeted Bitcoin through Money Rocket, a sub-program of Oakstar, which tapped network equipment to gather data from the Middle East, Europe, South Africa, and Asia, according to classified descriptions. 2013, Money Rocket was the sole source of SIGDEV for the Bitcoin targets. And so it says, using the term for Signals Intelligent Development, SIGDEV, to indicate the agency had no other way to surveil Bitcoin users. The data obtained through Money Rocket is described in the documents in full context. Surveillance, meaning entirely of data passing through a network, was examined. At least some entire data sessions were stored for later analysis. So it's this Money Rocket software program that's a part of Oakstar, which was created by the NSA in 2013, which was able to track and surveil through the internet traffic in collaboration with the public network to come up with all types of things that it gives in the article. And as a result of that, they were able to, begin the process of perfecting surveillance for Bitcoin or any public ledger. And this was 2013. So here we are 12 years later. You take that AI and all the other things along with Palantir, you put all that together, they have perfected the perfect surveillance for digital currencies that will definitely play in their favor. So 2030, yeah, people got a root thing coming. But anyway, okay, so that's all she wrote. Just want to check in, share my 2 cents. Hopefully you guys found some value here. I'm sure you did. And once again, share thoughts, ideas, suggestions in the chat, and let's keep it going. By Monero, that is a perceived threat. Privacy is a threat against the controlling forces. But then again, it's only so much before they will make it very burdensome for people to operate in that realm. That'll come last. But anyway, all right, good people, as always, for those who might be new, you never know, resources down below, all you need, everything you need to get physical, stay physical, protect and preserve everything you work hard for. And other than that, enjoy the rest of your day, good people. Be blessed. Shalom.